Hi everyone, thank you very much for stopping by and returning to the Old World. 2023 is drawing to a close, and 2024, the year where we should see Warhammer the Old World released quite early on, is just around the corner. So with that in mind, I've started to think around what hobby projects I want to run and what I'm hoping to achieve in the year ahead. Those of you who have seen my videos before, particularly around New Year's hobby resolutions, and know I do like to set myself achievable goals just to keep myself grounded and a little bit accountable for what I'm hoping to do. So 2024, what would I like to do? Well, this year I've completed, as far as it can be completed, pending rules, my dwarf force, and I would like to do something else for Warhammer Old World. I've got a bit of a choice to make. Do I do something brand spanking new, or do I do something to revive an army I've already got? What armies I've already got? Well, I've got a very battered force for Empire and for Warriors of Chaos. Battered because the armies, let's face it, I've not played for about 10 years nearly, because that's when 8th Ed disappeared, and I used them quite a lot since then. They've travelled around the country with me as I've moved home. They're not in great shape. There's been a lot of use. They were painted a long time ago. So do I revive those armies, try and do something fresh along those sort of themes, or do I do something new? I'm very tempted by Orcs and Goblins. They've always been a fun faction, a little bit silly. I've got an Orc army for 40,000, but I don't currently have anything for Warhammer. I've got a couple of models here and there, because I did have an Orc and Goblin army. I sold it donkeys years ago though, so it would kind of feel like something fresh. My feeling is at this moment in time I want to do something that will be in the initial set of releases, so that does limit down the number of factions, and I know deep in my heart that I just can't face painting elves. I've tried, I've never enjoyed it. I don't know why. Perhaps it's the dwarf player in me just getting angry about all things elf. So that kind of rules out the high elves, it rules out the wood elves. So where does that leave us? We have the aforementioned Empire of Man and Warriors of Chaos. We've got Beastmen, Brayherds. Never really done Beastmen. Interesting. But an awful lot of brown. Kingdom of Bretonia. Lots of cavalry. Do I enjoy painting cavalry? Not so sure. Wood elves, high elves we've discounted. Dwarves I've already done. And of course there's the Tomb Kings. So there's a fairly solid rumour. I say solid, it's been repeated often enough, that the summer release for Warhammer Old World is going to be Empire of Man and Orcs and Goblins, which means they're perhaps the second wave of stuff to be released. And I think both of these forces have really good stories to tell. We know from previous articles that the Empire is going to be divided broadly into 4 sub-factions. We've got the Barony of Westerland, effectively the wealth of Marienburg, the merchant lords, lots of mercenary type forces making the army that kind of thing. We've got Osterland and the followers of Ulrich, big men with even mightier beards. And then there's the Reikland, the heart of the current Emperor's domain. I'm guessing well-armoured elite troops, smaller model count maybe, who knows. And then there's Talabek, which kind of feels like it's the and also faction for, or sub-faction I should say, for the Empire, where there's going to be a little bit more opportunity to just do your own thing. And Orcs, I think Orcs are going to have some good stories to tell as well, purely because they're just so riotous and bonkers, really. We don't know what their sub-factions will look like. I wouldn't be surprised to see something Night Goblin and the Dwellers of the Mountains, maybe something more plains-based, an army that's more based around war boys, wolf riders, things like that, gallivanting across the plains, rather than it being split necessarily down orc, savage orc, goblin, etc. lines. I think it'll be more playstyle based than anything else. And importantly, I think both orc and goblins and the Empire will actually be quite entertaining to build and paint along the way. Empire can be quite colourful, can have quite a mixture of different styles, even if they're keeping to a common colour throughout the army. You can quarter, half, all different variations on the colours just to make things a little bit more interesting. And obviously orcs can be quite ragtag, again a colour theme to unite the army, but also plenty of scope for variation. Now, for my next project, I will obviously be doing updates on how I'm progressing. It's part of keeping myself honest, really, and that accountability to keep them going with the project. So let me know in the comments down below, what do you think would be the better army choice? I'm leaning towards Empire or Orcs, but can you make a persuasive case for something else? Do let me know, and I will finalise my thoughts a bit closer to the end of the year. Thank you very much for listening. As I say, any useful comments, much appreciated. I am returned to the old world. Have a great day.